Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about my first impressions review of the Samsung Galaxy S8, which Samsung was nice enough to lend us for a few days. So we've got the smaller non-plus model. First, I am a full-time iPhone user, so this is a bit of an outsider's perspective. Also, we've done a bunch of work with Samsung in the past, but this is not a paid review. I'm just telling you what I think about this phone. So as an iPhone user, I've got to say that this is the first time that a non-Apple phone is the most beautiful hardware out there on the market. This thing just feels very well engineered. The way that the screen goes edge to edge, which you've all seen by now, is the new standard of how good a screen can look. There's a lot of rumors that this is where Apple's going to be going in the next iPhone, but this time Samsung absolutely beat them to the punch and Apple's going to have to play catch up. My favorite thing about the screen update is how much narrower it allows the phone to be. This is just obvious, but it really means that you can wrap your hand all the way around. Like I said, I've got the non-plus model, and I get all the benefits of a big screen and being able to one-hand it. So this is going to be the size that I would absolutely choose. This infinity screen is made possible by the curved edges, which we already saw in the S7 Edge, but this feels so much more refined. The S7 Edge actually had a bit of a sharper edge, and this is a very smooth, well-integrated curve all the way around. And also the angle of the curve is a little less extreme. I don't know if it was just me, but that really caused a lot of false clicks. I didn't hear a lot of other people complaining about it, so maybe it is just me, but I was constantly triggering things by mistake by just holding my phone normally. That is not happening as much with this phone, which is great. It's funny because even though the screen is so much larger, they do have to keep the home button visible most of the time. So there's actually not a lot of times that the interface will show you the full edge-to-edge screen. Obviously, you can zoom in when you're watching a video or looking at photos, but most of the time the visible part of the screen is a similar size. I think this is going to get better in the future with software design. What I saw in the LG G6 is that you often had to swipe up from the bottom to bring back the home menu, and I did not like that as much. Obviously, the elephant in the room is Samsung's phones exploded last year. That was the Note 7, not the S7. This is the S8. I think that Samsung's figured it out. The way that they've discussed it publicly and all the assurances they've made make me feel like they care, and they really can't afford to do this again. So I trust them that they've figured this out. We'll have to wait and see, but so far I'm pretty confident. I know they did make the batteries a little more conservative for the phone sizes, but I think they got it. They said that the new processor architecture allowed the phone to run about 20% more efficiently, so that is probably all going to screen real estate, so we're probably going to see kind of similar battery life, maybe even a little bit less. I didn't have time to test that, but somebody else can tell you. There's a few different options for unlocking the phone, including the iris scanner, which I've been told is similar level of security to fingerprint scanning, but since I wear glasses, I'd have to take those off. You also can't wear contact lenses, so that wouldn't be the solution for me. Because of the new screen design, they had to move the fingerprint scanner off the home button into the back of the phone. This is totally fine. I'm a little surprised where they put it right beside the camera. I think that right away they are going to be changing this in the next version because you just too easily end up smudging your camera when you reach for that button. And it's also just hard to find if you're not looking at the back. I don't know if I would even use the fingerprint scanner if this was my full-time phone. I did really like the facial recognition way of logging in. It was really convenient. It worked most of the time. I've heard it's not as secure, but for my needs, it's not a big issue. And it works with my glasses. I'd love to see them have the depth mapping that Microsoft is using in their facial recognition, because I have heard that flat photos can trick the Samsung. So I think it will need to get a little more secure so that you can actually, like, if you just see there's a real human face there instead of a piece of paper, that would go a long way. I think it's great that they've kept the headphone port. I'm not a big fan that Apple removed it. And also having USB-C at the bottom. This is the charger I love everything to have now. I'm ready for the new USB-C world. Samsung is really energized about their new Bixby personal assistant, and you can tell because they added a dedicated hardware button on the phone. That is very surprising for a completely new feature. All the features for Bixby haven't rolled out yet, so Voice Assist isn't there yet. Right now, it does some of the basics that Google Now does of adding cards of what's upcoming. I think it's a little strange that Samsung is duplicating all this functionality, just like they duplicate all of the apps that Google does as well. Maybe this is just as an iPhone user, I don't really get why there's two of everything, but we'll have to wait and see if Samsung can make this really useful. For now, I kind of just have an extra button on my phone that I'm not going to use that much. And I know this is kind of weird, but when I first heard the name Bixby announced, it got stuck in my head and has been playing on a loop ever since. I don't know why. The rear main camera goes unchanged since the S7, which is fine. That was a really excellent camera. They've upgraded the software a little bit to integrate multiple exposures in different ways that I haven't really understood yet. I couldn't see it in my initial tests. I have to look at the photos a bit more carefully to see what it's really doing, but for now it's the same great 12 megapixel f1.7 lens that we had before. They did redesign the self-facing camera, however, and it is now also f1.7 and 8 megapixels. And I think that's great. These cameras should be a parity. People use them just about as often. Also, I love the software update update that allows you to flick up to switch to selfie mode. This feels like what every camera should do now, and I'm probably going to start doing it on my iPhone all the time. Samsung's TouchWiz interface is looking better and better. It is getting closer to stock Android in a lot of ways, but still distinctively Samsung. As an iPhone user, I was always a little frustrated how completely different Android phones would look, and that you'd have to learn how to use them differently, and that they have all this extra bloatware coming from each manufacturer. But Samsung's doing a pretty good standard Android experience, plus adding some useful features. I don't mind it at all. So that is my non-expert, non-Android user opinion of the Samsung Galaxy S8. This is a really fantastic phone. It puts the Apple hardware to shame at the moment. Although I'm going to stay on iPhones because I prefer iOS, this does make me really hope that Apple can keep up with their hardware design, because this thing is beautiful.